100 million in diamonds. The vault door was still closed. Morning came into the Antwerp Diamond District without drama. Narrow streets, steel shutters rolling up one by one, men unlocking doors with keys worn smooth from repetition. The district did not advertise what it held. No loud signage, no crowds lingering. The weight of the place was carried quietly, in briefcases, in coded transactions, in stones so small they disappeared into velvet trays. Inside the Diamond Center, the building kept its own rhythm. Layers of security nested into one another. Cameras mounted in corners that did not blink. Motion sensors tuned to detect presence even in darkness. Heat sensors that read bodies as anomalies against controlled air. A vault below ground, protected not by a single barrier, but by a sequence. Keypads, magnetic locks, a door built to resist time as much as force. The guard who opened that vault each morning did not expect to find it empty, but the routine was intact. Doors opened, lights came on. The systems reported nothing out of place. And still, when the vault was reached and the boxes were checked, the contents were gone. Not broken, not scattered, removed. The district had always relied on a principle that felt almost invisible. Trust, layered into technology. The people who worked there knew each other. Transactions happened face to face. The security systems were advanced, but they were built around the assumption that no one could pass all of them without being noticed somewhere along the line. That assumption held until it did not. Leonardo Notarbartolo entered the building as a tenant. He did not arrive with tools in his hands. He arrived with paperwork, a lease, a small office space inside the Diamond Center. He carried himself as a dealer, one of many men who moved through the district with quiet confidence and no need to explain himself beyond the basics. His office did not hold large deals. It held time. That was the first condition of the plan. Access not for minutes, but for months. The ability to move through the building without drawing attention, to learn its rhythms, to observe which doors opened at which hours, which guards walked which paths, which systems were active when the building believed itself empty. The first problem was the vault itself. It was not one lock. It was many. Magnetic sensors on the door, infrared detection, a seismic sensor designed to read vibration, a heat sensor that could detect a human body where one did not belong. Cameras placed not only to watch, but to record in a way that could be reviewed frame by frame. Each of these systems was designed to catch a different kind of intrusion. Force, heat, movement, presence. The solution did not come as a single breakthrough. It came as a series of quiet tests. Notarbartolo and his crew studied the sensors individually. What triggered them? What did not? The magnetic sensor could be fooled if the field it read remained stable. The heat sensor responded to temperature differences that could be minimized. The seismic sensor listened for vibration that could be dampened. What was said in those rooms where the testing happened has never been confirmed, but the results were visible in the method that followed. They constructed a set of tools not to break the system but to satisfy it. A plate to cover the magnetic field, material to absorb heat signatures, a method to reduce vibration during movement. Each solution addressed one obstacle. None of them removed the system, they passed through it. The flaw in this cycle was subtle. Each solution worked under controlled conditions. The vault, however, would not be entered in a controlled environment. It would be entered in sequence, under time pressure, with all systems active at once. A method that succeeded in isolation might fail in combination. The commitment came when the tools were assembled and tested enough times to remove hesitation. The plan did not require certainty. It required enough confidence to act. The second problem was time inside the building. The Diamond Center was not unattended. Even at night, the systems remained active. The vault could not be opened during operating hours without drawing attention. The entry had to occur when the building was closed, but still monitored. The solution was the weekend. A long weekend, when the building would be closed for multiple days. Less movement, fewer checks. A window long enough to enter, work, and leave without immediate discovery. Entry into the building itself did not require force. Keys had been acquired. Access points understood. The crew could move inside without breaking doors or triggering alarms meant for external intrusion. But the flaw remained. A long weekend provided time, but it also extended the duration in which something could go wrong unnoticed. If a sensor tripped, if a guard noticed an anomaly, if a single element failed, there would be no immediate correction. The system would hold the evidence until someone came back. The commitment was made when the date was fixed. The tools were ready. The building would close. The crew would enter. And then it happened. The entry began without noise. A door opened using a key that belonged there. The corridor beyond was lit only by the building's night settings. Cameras recorded, but nothing in their field of view registered as out of place. Men moving through a space they were permitted to occupy did not trigger suspicion. The crew reached the vault level. Beat 1. The outer door stood before them. Metal. Weight. The first of the barriers. The magnetic sensor sat in place, reading the closed state of the door as stable. The crew applied their method, maintaining the field as they began to work. The action was controlled. No sudden movement. No vibration that could carry through the structure. Each step measured against the system that was still active around them. The complication was the accumulation of systems. The magnetic sensor was only one. The infrared field still watched. The heat sensor still read differences. The seismic sensor still listened. The decision under pressure was to proceed as planned, trusting that each solution, applied together, would hold. There was no alternative path once the door had been engaged. Status check. The outer layer was being handled. No alarms. The plan remained intact. Beat 2. The inner vault door. A heavier barrier, protected by additional systems. The crew moved through the sequence they had rehearsed, covering sensors, maintaining conditions that matched what the system expected to read. The action slowed further. This was the point where a single mistake would not announce itself with noise, but with silence. A triggered system would not shout. It would record. It would wait. The complication came in the form of resistance. The door did not yield immediately. The mechanisms inside required more time than expected. Time that stretched the window they believed they had. The decision was to continue. To accept the delay and push through, rather than retreat with nothing. The risk increased with each minute. The reward remained behind the door. Status check. The door opened. Beat 3. Inside the vault, the boxes were arranged in rows. Safety deposit boxes, each holding contents that ranged from small to immense in value. Diamonds, cash, jewelry, items that had been placed there with the expectation of permanence. The crew moved quickly now. Tools shifted from precision to extraction. Boxes opened, contents removed, bags filled. The sound changed, less controlled, more movement. The weight of what they were taking began to register in their hands. The complication was scale. There was more than they could take in a single pass if they lingered, more temptation than time allowed. The decision was to focus on volume and value as they understood it, to take what could be carried and leave the rest. The plan had not included a perfect selection process. It included speed. Status check. The bags were filling. The time inside the vault was running. Beat 4. The exit. The crew retraced their path through the building, carrying bags that now held the result of months of preparation. The systems they had bypassed remained active. They had not been disabled. They had been satisfied. The action required the same control as entry. No sudden movement. No deviation from what the sensors expected. The complication was fatigue. The physical strain of carrying weight through a controlled environment, maintaining precision after hours of focus. The decision was to maintain the method until the final door. Only then could speed replace control. Status check. The building was exited. The crew left with the diamonds. It was done. But the plan could not hold. The flaw revealed itself not in the vault, but outside it. In the days following the heist, investigators began to examine the scene. Not the broken locks, because there were none. Not the alarms, because none had sounded. The evidence was quieter. A bag of discarded materials was found. Tape, wrappers, items used during the operation and left behind in a place that did not erase them. The realization formed in fragments. The vault had not been forced. It had been entered. The systems had not failed. They had been bypassed. The response shifted the investigation inward. Who had access? Who had time? Who had reason to occupy space in the building without drawing attention? The irreversible point had already passed. The crew had left the building. The diamonds were gone. When the investigators arrived, they treated the vault as a puzzle. The first evidence reveal came from the systems themselves. Cameras reviewed, sensors checked, logs examined, no alarms, no forced entries. The implication was clear in what was absent. Someone had moved through the building without triggering the systems designed to stop them. The investigative response narrowed the field to those who belonged inside. Tenants, employees, individuals who could move without raising suspicion. The second evidence reveal came from the discarded materials. Items left behind were analyzed, not for what they were alone, but for where they led. Connections formed between the objects and the people who could have used them. Notarbartolo's presence in the building became more than routine. His office, his access, his time inside. The response moved toward identification. Arrests followed. Not the full recovery of what had been taken, but the naming of those involved. The diamonds themselves were never fully recovered. Leonardo Notarbartolo was arrested and convicted, serving time for his role in the heist. Other members of the crew were identified, though not all were captured in the same way, and the full network behind the operation remained partially obscured. A significant portion of the stolen diamonds vanished into markets where stones lose their identity once separated from their original form. The heist altered how security was understood in the district, not because the systems were weak, but because they could be studied, learned, and passed through without breaking them. The final image is not of a shattered vault, but of a door that remained closed, systems intact, while the contents behind it had already been removed.